everybody. Welcome so much for coming in to Disciples Unplugged podcast. And our slogan is get to know your brother from another mother.
And your sister from another sister.
Oh yeah. I am Kevin, your host and forever your host, and I also have my co-host here.
Aisha. Hi everyone.
Aisha. Tell us a little bit about yourself, Aisha. Who are you?
So I help out with the teen ministry, which is super fun, keeps me youthful. And I don't know how many people know this, but I lived in Texas for 9 years and then lived in Las Vegas for 9 years. So I've kind of moved around a little bit. Very different places, learned a lot, but love it here in California. It's definitely my home.
That's right, California love. And then also we have here this amazing opportunity, a blessing, and just an amazing privilege to interview the Surins.
Hi.
Hey.
You guys excited to be on this first episode?
Yeah, very excited.
All
Happy
right.
to be here.
Thank you. So, first I just want to say due to the COVID-19, we are mandated and asked to stay at home. And fortunately, we do have the technology to be able to communicate with each other. We got texting, we got calling, we got FaceTime, Zoom, what we're using right now. So we're just so blessed to be able to have that opportunity to just stay connected during this time when we're at home. And thankfully, the Surins were free to be our first guest for this podcast. And before we even get started, I want to show a clip from TikTok that Brooke made. So let's watch this. I'm just screen share that. Share. All right. Kingdom of isolation. All right, that was it, huh? So, Brooke, what made you want to make that video?
Well, I have an Elsa costume. Just had it. I dressed up as Elsa for Halloween a few years ago. And I was really bored. And my brother actually wrote on we have like a dry erase calendar. And he wrote that line from Let It Go, the song from Frozen. And after reading that line, I was like, oh my gosh, brilliant. And I thought of quarantine and I thought of being in isolation. And then I thought about being Elsa in isolation and what Elsa would do in quarantine. So that's kind of how it came about.
I helped her do the video.
Yeah, he was my videographer.
Do you guys have like multiple videos on TikTok or is that the only one?
I have a few. John doesn't have a TikTok, but he helps me make some. So yeah, we have fun with it. Okay. Only in quarantine times, you know?
Right. Do you have any TikTok, Aisha?
You know, I have an account that someone created for me. I have not made a TikTok yet. It is very addicting to be on TikTok, so you can find yourself there for way too long. So it's
hours.
I haven't had an opportunity to make it, but we'll see. And then how are you guys been handling the COVID-19 virus?
I think I've been handling it pretty well. I think at first I was kind of naive to just the struggle that it's causing a lot of people. I think right now, you know, God's really blessed us just with the jobs that we've had and stuff like that. So our experience has been relaxing. I'm actually naturally introverted, so I've enjoyed, you know, the time here, and I've been going on walks and runs every day. And it's funny, I actually have more steps in since the quarantine than when everything was normal. So in a lot of ways, it's been really good, even like spiritually. I think for me, reading the Bible, waking up when I want, reading the Bible, and just getting time with God has been better. So I think it's been a restful time for me. I think for Brooke, you know, she can speak on that. I think she feels that way mostly, but she's, you know, there's been some struggles as well there too. So, but that's what I've been feeling about it.
Yeah, I'm more naturally extroverted. So for me, like, it's hard to not see other people other than my family. And I think I love like having John around. I think it's been really fun. We've been able to do a lot of like fun random things, and we'll just like play guitar and make up songs, and I do Elsa TikToks and, you know, just random stuff. So it's been good. I just finished my first week of teaching online, so that's been interesting.
Wow.
Teaching remotely is definitely very different. In some ways it's easier, in some ways it's more difficult. So it's just kind of been like a mixed bag for me. But it's been fun taking up new hobbies, having a good time, cooking, baking.
Yeah. Are you guys using Zoom too for teaching?
No, so we're using Microsoft. So everything is Microsoft. So we've been using like Teams and stuff. But for the most part, everything is like self-guided for the kids since I teach ninth grade. So they're able to just kind of do their thing. And then this week we'll start having like actual video check-ins to see how they're doing. But we're not going to have like class like online, if that makes sense.
I see.
So it's going to be more so like, any questions, any help, how is everyone doing? Instead of like, let me lecture to you over, Zoom or whatever, So
Yeah.
it's just a little different.
It's kind of hard to sit there and watch those lessons. I don't know about you guys.
Yeah.
What about you, Aisha? What have you been up to?
It's interesting because I actually feel more busy in a way. Work is normal. So I actually am able to work remote fully and have been able to work remote even before this. And so nothing's changed in that sense. And then I've just had a lot of time of connecting with people through Zoom or FaceTime, prayer times, Bible studies, all that kind of stuff. And so it's actually been really great in that sense and been able to just like connect with people that I haven't talked to in a long time. So it's been really good. But lots of meetings and different things have come up, but it's been great. And it's definitely great having my roommates. So shout out to Jordana, Jillian, and Hope. They're pretty awesome, and it's been a lot of fun just getting extra time with them and stuff like that too. So
Any new hobbies?
So I wouldn't say this is new, but I've been cooking a lot more. Because before I didn't really cook because I was like running around. So it's been fun to just like take that extra time and just make food because I don't want to get bored eating the same thing. So
right.
That's
yeah.
Have you guys been cooking anything new or eating out?
We've done a lot of Uber Eats. But yeah, no, I have been cooking more, and my brother has actually been staying with us. Like he rotates between my parents' house and our house.
Okay.
Because his college is now doing everything remote. So that's been kind of fun to have my brother here. I feel kind of like a mom. So I've been like cooking a lot more and making sure the boys are well fed. So that's been fun.
Nice.
Yeah. It's been cool too to like, we've been on our walks. We walk by like obviously a lot of restaurants and stuff here in this area. This really cool kind of street in Montrose where there's lots of shops. So there's like a pizza place that's like really good that we like kind of found, and then there's a boba place that we've been going to at night lately, like at like 8:30 p.m. We'll go on our walk and then go get boba and walk back. So it's been cool to kind of discover some places too. You know what I mean? But we've been eating out a lot for sure.
Yeah. Did you go back to that Mexican restaurant that we went to?
Oh, El Sol, I go there. We go there all the time. Like, that's like an amazing spot.
It's like my brother's favorite place too. So.
Okay, nice. And I guess the first question I gotta ask: how long have you guys been married?
So we came up on our 2-year anniversary, March 3rd.
What?
So that's pretty crazy. Yeah, it's
2 years.
I can't believe it's been 2 years already. But yeah, so it's been really cool. It's been really cool. Time's gone by fast.
And tell us, how did it all start? What's the story? What's the story between you two?
I can do the first part. Yeah, so I was an intern in Pittsburgh over the summer, like 3-4 years ago, and we were on our way to St. Louis for the Reach conference, for the campus ministry conference. Or actually, just obviously the Reach conference is big. And people were talking about in the car ride, like, oh, you could find like your girlfriend or your spouse. And I was going there broke, literally dependent on like the brothers and sisters around me for food. And I was trying to go there with just like the best heart that I could. So when they were talking about that, I like dropped my head and I just like, God, like real quick, if you have a plan for that, that's awesome, but that's not why I'm here. So if you have a plan for that, I pray that you do all the work. And we got to the conference, and there was, the worship was awesome. And right after the worship, Brooke and I from a distance, like just caught eyes for a second. I think we were both just kind of startled, you know what I mean? And I was startled. I was like, oh my gosh, is this a model convention or is this like a spiritual? And then I went to go talk to my friend, and he was talking to his girlfriend, and I turned around, and then Brooke was there, and she said hi. And so I didn't know if she was planning to ask me on like a date, or I didn't know because maybe the sisters were doing something like that or whatever. And so at first I was like, is she gonna ask me on a date? And then she didn't ask me on a date as we kept talking for a few minutes, and I just was like, wow, she's really cool. Like I asked her questions. She's a leader. She's doing a teen ministry. She's been a Christian longer than I have, and I was just really interested in her. So I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna ask her on a date. So I asked her on a date a couple of days later. But I was so shocked by her beauty that I actually like ran away. I was like, oh my gosh, protect my heart. She's so beautiful, But yeah, so I was like almost like, did I just sin looking at this amazingly beautiful woman? But
Right.
yeah, that's kind of my side of how we met.
Yeah. So I was coming from Minnesota. I was doing a teen ministry internship there, and walk into the first campus class, and I noticed John because he's tall, and I'm tall, and I tend to notice the tall people. And I was like, oh wow, he's tall, he's kind of cute. And then I like forgot about him. He had worship, and then after the worship was over, I was like, oh, I want to go say hi to my friend. And so I was gonna go say hi to my friend, and I realized he was in the same row as her. So I knew that I was gonna have to like go past him just to say hi to my friend. So I was like, okay, am I gonna introduce myself? Like, what am I gonna do? And so I just decided, I was like, I'm just gonna go say hi. So I just like walked up to him and I was like, hey, how's it going? And I was like, introduced myself, and we started talking. And then he asked me on a date. And so this is actually my first campus conference that I'd gone to, because every other summer I was out of town. I was like in Europe or wherever doing internships. So I was like shocked. I was like, oh my gosh, you just asked her on a date? Is that normal? Like I was like freaking out. So yeah, so that's kind of how it started. We had a date a few days later, and it was like perfect. Like the perfect first date. It was awesome.
Do you remember if I was shocked when you said hi to me?
I don't remember. I don't think I realized. I think I was nervous too.
I was shocked. I was like,
yeah.
She was like, I turned around, she was like right there. I was like, wow.
And how long did it take to get married? Was it like a couple months, a year?
So after our date, which went really awesome, like we both like, there's like a lot of commonalities between us, but also some core differences. I mean, I'm introverted, but a little bit extroverted. I do love interacting with people and stuff like that, but I get more energy from being like, having time to freely think and stuff. So there's a lot of commonalities and like fun things, but then differences in some core things where we can kind of help each other out. So we just started off as friends. We built a long distance friendship because I'm from Virginia. So it was a long distance friendship from here in Virginia for half a year. So we just, FaceTimed every once in a while for about 6 months, got advice about how to do that. And then one day I was literally like, God, you need to make it clear, like tonight, you need to make it clear today. And the whole day went by and nothing happened. And then at the very end of the night, I got this phone call from her dad. And he was like, hey, John, like, my daughter's never talked about anyone the way she's talked about you. Wow. And I know that you're broke. And, Brooke doesn't know this, but I want to pay for you to fly out here or for her to come to you, just so that you guys can continue to kind of see where you want to take your friendship. And so I was so fired up about that. And I think a lot of Brooke in my life has just been kind of like God showing his grace to me, which has been really cool. So we started dating 6 months after, talking just as friends. We dated for like 11 and a half months. We were engaged for like 2 months, 2.5 months, and then got married. And yeah, so wow. It's been really cool, man.
So how was that experience for you two, like dating long distance? Did you get to see each other?
Well, okay, so when he flew out to California, that was after having built a friendship for 6 months. He flew out to California. He was not planning on asking me to date him. Like, he was not planning on making it official that week. But what ended up happening was his flight got canceled because of winter storm stuff. And so he was stuck here for another day, and he was like, oh gosh. He's like, I feel like I should ask her to be my girlfriend, blah, blah, blah. And so he got a bunch of advice, and he ended up asking me to be his girlfriend. Obviously, I was shocked because he wasn't supposed to be there. He's supposed to be already home.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, but yeah,
he was literally supposed to be home. So we started dating, and then the next day he flew back to Virginia.
Oh, wow.
So then we dated long distance for about 4 months. I flew out to Virginia and visited him for my spring break. And then we both graduated college that May. So both graduated college that May. I didn't have a job yet lined up. And then he had a job working for the campus ministry in like Northern Virginia. So it's a different area.
Like a 1 year challenge.
The 1 year challenge.
Okay.
So I knew that he was going there. I knew that we had been dating long distance for about 4 months. I knew that if our relationship was going to develop any further, we would need to be in the same spot. So I was like, okay, I'm going to move to Virginia.
Wow.
And so basically, I was willing to go there without any job and just like find something, you know?
Wow.
But I think for him, he wanted more so security. He never said this. So I think he wanted me to more so go there already with the job, with the plan, you know? So it wasn't just like, hi, here I am, you know? So I got a call, ended up being a teen ministry intern for that summer in Virginia. So moved to Virginia, like a month after graduating, lived in Virginia. And obviously we got to know each other better. We were in the same place. We'd go on dates more frequently. That was really cool to get to know each other. And then got engaged that December. So we dated long distance only for like 4 months or so, 5 months. And then we dated in the same place for like 6.5 months. So kind of worked out. It wasn't like totally long distance, but I think it was helpful that we started long distance, then went to being close instead of like the opposite of that, because that would have been really hard.
Oh, very cool. And so then how has God been involved in all of that? I think, John, you talked a little bit about how you were just praying to God throughout it. How has he impacted your relationship and then even your marriage?
Yeah, I think for me, because I grew up in like a broken family. Like I grew up in a trailer park. My dad was an alcoholic. He died from alcoholism.
Wow.
I mean, I had a good, loving family around me, but it was definitely a broken family. And I think, it's funny that I live in a trailer park, but my dad still made a good amount of money, but just a lot of it went to drinking and just like, not like doing well with money. So my entire psyche has always been kind of like survive, like let me just like survive. And like reading about Abigail was really inspiring because I saw that she was able to, basically in an encouraging way rebuke David and just change his mind. So seeing that was a really powerful thing. And I journaled and asking God, obviously, like, God, I want a woman like this. And then, fast forward, Brooke and I were on a date, and when we were playing this like game, and you have to answer a question, and one of her questions was, what Bible character are you most like? And I was like, if I can guess for you, I was like, do you have it in your head? And she's like, yeah. And I was like, okay, I'm just gonna guess. I'm gonna say Abigail. And she's like, yeah, that's exactly who I was thinking.
Wow.
And I was like, and we were not dating yet, and it was a date it was a date that week that when we started dating later that week. And I was just so blown away. And like, obviously I didn't tell her because I wanted to protect like my heart. But I was internally like, oh my gosh. Like, so Brooke has always represented something like healing, like being brought forth in my life, and just God like blessing me and helping me to thrive and not just survive. But like, and I even feel uncomfortable because I come from a lot of brokenness, a lot of like, just kind of surviving and, getting my way into college, battling my way through college and, different mental health struggles. So God has used Brooke to usher in a lot of like just healing, a lot of thriving and changing kind of my paranoid, like mind from being like, oh, is something bad going to happen, into like, no, like God is good. I don't have to be fearful. And I just feel like I hit the, lottery with Brooke because she's not the stereotype that a lot of people think when they think of like a woman is fearful or controlling. Like, I don't see that at all in Brooke. And so it's something really special that, I think God's blessed me like immensely. So.
Wow.
Yeah, I think for me, I think I wasn't looking for a relationship when I went to the conference. I was super content hanging out living my life. And so I think when I met John, I was really impressed with him and our conversation, and I was impressed mostly just by his vulnerability and his willingness to be open with me. And I think when I got back to the hotel room that night, I was staying with my parents, and I was just blabbing on and on and on about John and just how amazing he is, and how I was like, he's the one, and my parents were like, stop, and I was like, I think he's the one, he's awesome, and so I really was, I guess, like captured by him. I was like, oh my gosh, he's amazing. I really hope we can be friends. And so from that point forward, when we started building the friendship, I think just being in a place of like, God, like whatever you do, like I just want to be friends with this man. And I could tell he was, making me better. I felt like he was inspiring me to be closer to God, and just all of those things. And so, I think even thinking now, like he is my best friend, like we have the best time together. Like can't imagine anyone else to be quarantined with, like he makes life so fun and, and encouraging. And, he's always one to point me back to God whenever, I'm not perfect, and I can get fearful, and I can get insecure, and I can, be emotional. And he's always one to point me back to God and just remind me of what's important and what matters, So, and I think too, like growing up in the church, as a young child, I always dreamt about like, who am I going to marry and who's going to be my prince, and I remember I wrote a lot of lists of like what I wanted in a man. And it wasn't until college that I felt like I wrote a list of things I actually needed, not just like, these would be great, but like things that I needed and wanted. Right. And in that list, I had actually like, this is so me. I had like color coded like which ones I needed, which ones I wanted, and which ones would be awesome. Like the icing on the cake, and it was interesting when we got engaged. I like pulled out that journal and I found the old journal and I was reading through the list again. And like John met every single one of those things on that list, including the things that were like kind of bizarre and kind of out there. Like one of my things on my list is like I wanted a man who would like dance with me like randomly. And before, like he would like, and we just like be walking down the street and he would just randomly like twirl me, or like he would just like do those things. So I was just like freaking out, like reading this list. I was like, oh my gosh, God, this is so cool. I was just like, just really inspired and like felt like everyone needs to do this. I just felt like really encouraged, and felt really blessed that God would give me someone like John so early. Like I feel like it's rare, I think, especially just in our culture, and I think in how fast-paced society is. Like it's rare to find someone across the country, literally in a state that I never talked about in California. Like we never talked about Virginia.
Right.
To find someone in that state, across the country, and to be able to build this friendship with him and then end up marrying him, I just think it's a total gift from God, and it's really cool.
Yeah,
really,
I think
really cool.
just in the kingdom, having a marriage, it's a big light to your coworkers and stuff. Just seeing that it's a different like temperament, and it's a different like obviously none of our marriages are perfect like in the kingdom, but I think the kingdom does really, God shows a really powerful thing, with Christ in the church, and then like and through a married couple to like our coworkers and stuff. So I love that part of our marriage as well. I think it's really fun, like really cool.
Wow, that's great. And what's been one of the challenges in these 2 years of marriage so far?
I think for me is kind of deprogramming a lot of the just like paranoid thinking that I brought up before. I talk to a counselor every week, and I have different mental health, struggles and stuff like that. So I'm very keenly aware of kind of what goes on in my mind. So for me, like continually working on myself to be the best version of myself, so that I like can be the best husband that I can be. But I think mental health is my biggest struggle, regardless of if I'm married or not. So that's something that I'm always kind of trying to sharpen my health, just like anybody would with like going to the gym to improve their physical health. I think mental health is something I have a conviction about. So as we've been married, I haven't had like any mental breaks or anything like that. But I had in college, I had like a couple of mental breaks, and that was pretty tough. And I had to like learn about myself and And I think just like different mental health stuff that comes up.
Hmm.
Communication has been, really good. Um, most of the bumps that we've had in 2 years have come through trying to learn how we communicate. So like, me overreacting and really being careful with how I say something, or like when we communicate and hit a bump or an argument. I think in 2 years, it's been really cool to see like a lot of the bumps we had like in the first 6 months of marriage, we don't have anymore, or we can kind of laugh off. Um, I think what saves us a lot is being willing to say you're sorry. I think like even with like little stupid things like, oh, like I got new running shoes the other day, and like how you get like fired up to open your own box and stuff. She opened it for me to be helpful, but I was like, I wanted to open it for the experience, and I was like, I was mad. I was actually mad about that. Like I was like annoyed, and I was like, dang it, like I'm sorry. And she was like, no, I'm sorry. But like just being willing to say sorry, and like it was so stupid to be mad about that. But when you spend time with someone all the time, that's kind of stuff that's going to happen a lot, and you have to be willing to say sorry. Otherwise, it'll build up. So I would say those are the two things, like communication and just me working on my mental health to be the best version of myself for her.
Yeah, and I think part of with communication too is you have to go from being two completely individual people who are just living their lives and pursuing their goals and doing their things to becoming one. So I think that has its challenges of its own. Is like now this is where I think marriage is different than a roommate, and you get in arguments with a roommate and you do the same thing. You apologize, you have a conversation, you make peace, But I think with marriage, what's different is that we go from having our own individual thoughts and ideas to being like, okay, how are we united? Like, how are we going to stay together as one? And I think that's like where, for me, like I have to really consider like, what am I about to say right now? Is that going to help us be closer, or is that going to pull us apart? Like how am I communicating that? And am I helping to be united and to be one? And I think too is like letting go of like individual thoughts, goals, ideas, dreams, and having them be like our dreams, our goals, like changing the whole mindset behind it. I think that takes some effort and some work in communicating those things too, and those expectations and those goals too. So I think all of that is just like communicating how to stay on the same page.
Yeah,
and
being unified is
stay united.
is a challenge, but I think it's in any relationship, it's like really important. So yeah.
Wow, thanks guys for sharing. Really appreciate it. And what brought you guys back to LA?
My parents.
Your parents.
They gave my life. No.
I mean, we both really wanted to be out here. I think I was just excited to just start something new, and really excited. Even like I moved here, and then we were in the west side in Culver City and that part of LA. And it was just really new. Like I think they obviously needed a lot of help with like worship stuff. So the fact that I could sing and just even lead a song, they were like, "Can you lead the whole worship ministry?" And I think that like having new challenges like that and like being like used in that way was really cool, and I think it stretched me a lot. And so, but moving here, and now we're both in the teen ministry. Like I've never been in a teen ministry. I've never been a leader in a teen ministry before in my life. So I love the church we're in right now, and I love the capacity that we're serving in more than like it's just been so awesome. Like I love it so much. So I think it's just been like a really cool time. Yeah, so.
Yeah, I think we knew we wanted to move back to LA, or back to California at least, just because that's, I lived in Virginia for a year. Obviously, John was born and raised there, but I'd only known California, and I knew that I wanted to move back. But we didn't have jobs yet, so it was kind of dependent on like if we got jobs or not. So I got a job in LA, which was exciting and allowed us to move out here, and then he could look for a job out here too. So I think it all ended up working out, and I think this is my first time ever living in LA as an adult. So like I was born here and then shortly moved from LA to somewhere else in California. But I think being here as an adult has been really, really fun. We really enjoyed it.
Yeah. And Brooke's parents too, just like the wisdom that they have and like where they're at in their life and what they've been through. Like I want to be close to someone like that. Like I want to be close to my in-laws because I see their life, and it's like they're not dependent on anybody. They basically do the work of full-time ministry while they have jobs. They're very humble. Like they've been humbled, and I really respect them a lot. So being close to them, especially trying to build, like not thinking just like a campus student, like thinking about the next year of my life or the next 2 years of my life, but thinking about like, oh, like when I have kids, like who are the type of people that I want around me, like, and my in-laws, like being obviously like that's a relationally a close thing having your in-laws, and so I think in the kingdom we can have great mentors anywhere, but I was always like wanted to move out here in general, and having them is just like a plus. So it's a really big benefit. So yeah,
And how do you guys like the team ministry so far? How's that going?
it's been awesome. Brooke's done teen ministry things, like when we met, she was working in a teen ministry. I was always in campus ministry, so I'm used to like a really fast pace kind of process and conversion and evangelism and
Mm.
stuff. But I think God's also given me the capacity to have a lot of empathy, and like compassion, and so the teen ministry is a perfect place for that. I really love how like when I meet with a teen, I give them any source of wisdom or like nugget of thing that I've learned from someone else, and they just like absorb it like really quickly,
Mm.
and they're so grateful. And I think like seeing the gratitude in the teens and seeing like just like the impact that you can have on someone who's in their teens, is a really really powerful thing, and it's also really fulfilling for me too, like to like leave a Bible study and feel like, wow, like that kid is like amazing, like that is an amazing like young guy, and I get to help him, you know what I mean? So
Mm-hmm.
really cool.
Yeah, it's been fun. I love the teens. You're sweethearts. They're so cute. No, it's been really, really fun. Really enjoyed it.
What about you, Aisha? How you been enjoying the teams? Because you're also a part of it.
I am also part of the teams. Yeah, it's been almost a year now, and yeah, I'd say the same thing. I mean, it's been so much fun, and it's been so cool just to be a part of these young people's lives and just see them make the decision to want to love God and follow God. I became a disciple and got baptized in the teen ministry, so it's very close to my heart, and so it's just been so much fun to be a part of it for sure.
Okay. And we're coming to a close, so I just want to ask you guys one last question. Do you guys have any ghost stories?
Ghost stories?
Yeah,
Like ghosts?
that's what I'm gonna start asking everybody now. Whoever we're interviewing, I'm gonna start asking if they have any ghost stories,
Okay.
spiritual, whatever it may be.
Oh, like real stories?
Yeah, if you have any. No, yeah, if you have any from real experience.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's a great one. I do have a ghost story. So this is bizarre, but a couple months before I got baptized, obviously no concept yet that I wasn't studying the Bible yet, so I had no concept that in 2 months I was going to become a disciple.
Hmm.
I was at home with my mom, in her apartment, and I was going to sleep, and I was laying in my bed, and I heard my door like start to open, like it creaked open, and I was like, oh, that's weird. And then I had this moment where I was like, what if that's like a spiritual like angel or something? I don't know why I had that thought. And then as soon as I had that thought, there was like the sense that I had. I was like, something's like weird and wrong. And like I felt like pressure next to my head, like go down in the bed as if someone sat on the bed
Uh-huh.
and no one was there. And then I went to go like scream for my mom, and I couldn't scream. And I was trying to like wiggle off the bed, and it took me like 15 seconds before I got my feet to like fall off the bed. And I don't know what happened in that situation, but like it was all very clear, like very resolute. Like
Whoa.
it was really weird. I don't know if I got like sleep paralysis or something like weird like that, but
Mm-hmm.
it was just a really bizarre thing that happened to me that I never forget. Yeah, so that
Yeah.
was really weird.
That is bizarre. That was 2 months before your baptism.
Yeah. So I look back on it, I'm like, was that like Satan trying to attack me before before he goes back and to school and becomes a Christian? I don't know. It was just a really weird thing.
Wow. What about you, Brooke?
I don't have any ghost stories.
He's less haunted than I am.
Do you have one,
I guess,
Aisha?
I don't know. I guess ghosts just like love me. Sometimes I'll be awake at night and Brooke is asleep, and I'm like, I hear something, and I like go in, I'm like going through the corners, like, with pepper spray and a light, no gun. So I
Okay.
don't have any. No guns in our house.
That's a good one. Pepper spray. That works. Did you have one, Aisha?
I have no ghost stories, and I am grateful to God for that because I don't know what I can do. I don't mess with ghosts, so I'm good.
All right. Well, we'll see if anybody else has some interesting stories. But thank you guys for participating. I really appreciate you. You guys are the first ones to be part of this. So we'll see what you guys started. So thank you
Thanks
again.
for having us.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoy this first ever podcast, and we hope to make more. And Aisha's going to talk more about Hope Worldwide, which is a organization that we partner with.
Yes. So Hope Worldwide is an international charity. They're in countries across the globe, and they've done a lot of work. We've been working with them since 1991, I think is when they were founded. And so in response to coronavirus, Hope Worldwide is doing a lot of efforts around the world. One of the things they're doing is working with the Red Cross and what they call their Spark Academies to make sure that students who aren't in school can still get the learning that they need. Obviously, a lot of schools have closed down, some for the entire rest of this year. Or even into next year. So that's a great thing that they're doing. They also operate clinics around the world. And so they're operating those clinics, doing testing and all that sort of stuff. And they're also collecting supplies and hygiene kits and food and donating those. They have people who are helping to make masks. So there's just a lot of really great work that Hope Worldwide is doing. So if you're interested in donating or seeing how you can get involved, you can go to hopewww.org/coronavirus. And you can find out more ways to help. They're a great organization. Encourage you to do that. If you have the means, I personally feel super blessed to have my job and have everything that I need. And so I'm looking forward to thinking about how I can help other people, not just here, but around the world. So with that, thank you again for listening. It's been a lot of fun for me. I hope you enjoyed listening to it as well.
Bye, everybody.
That